Hello one and all, welcome to another fun-filled week of the A to the K Wrestling Show and another Ringside Report.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Speaking of which, coming up tonight on the Ringside Report. Sasha Banks Naomi set for WWE return.
Braun Strowman sends offensive tweet targeting flippy-floppy wrestlers.
Logan Paul suffers major injury at WWE Crown Jewel.
Jake Paul set to capitalise on that and sign with WWE.
Fuck you, brother. Stone Cold Steve Austin and John Cena both set for a match at WrestleMania.
WWE set to fast-track Cora Jade to the main roster.
AEW reveal the world title eliminator bracket at Full Gear.
WWE announce a Smackdown World Cup.
Natalya suffers a broken nose after her match with Shayna Baszler.
NWA suspends Nick Aldis after he announced he will be parting ways with the company.
And Maxwell Jacob Friedman lands major movie role. Anthony, when's all this coming up?
It's all coming up right fucking now.
Yes, it is. So the first one to talk about, Sasha Banks and Naomi are coming back. Probably, maybe.
You can bank on that.
Hey, you Naomi. Does that work? No. Yeah. The eagle-eyed amongst us who watched Crown Jewel will have noticed in the WWE opening, we saw a little clip of Sasha Banks and Naomi. Anthony, they were there.
What?
And they've not been there for quite some time. Now,
doing their own shit, aren't they?
Led many people to speculate that maybe all the bridges have been mended, maybe they are returning imminently, and nobody knows, really. Now, Sasha Banks has potentially added some fuel to the fire because she's posted on Instagram a little bit of a post, funnily enough. Posted a post. And,
on Instagram, you say?
Instagram. Talking about, obviously, what a great kind of time that she's had, and looking back, and there was some wrestling kind of stuff in there. And then someone also noticed that she'd been training with the one and only Juventud Guerrera.
Nice.
So people then going, they're definitely coming back. And it's interesting because even though we've not called it out as a separate news item, the first match at Survivor Series War Games has been announced, and it's the women's War Games match.
Ooh,
and obviously
2 mystery spots.
Well, how many actually is there? I think there's like 3. So obviously we've got Bianca, Asuka and Alexa plus 2 mystery people taking on Damage Control, Nikki Cross, and 1 mystery person.
See, this would be interesting because they're a team, and naturally I would want to put Sasha Banks and Bayley together. But I honestly think these are going to come in as faces. I think it'd be the natural thing to do, and therefore they'd be on the good side. Team. But who's going to join the Damage Control side? That's the question.
That is the question.
Probably Charlotte.
Or will... Maybe. So... Yeah, that's quite a possibility, let's be honest. But yeah, who knows what this means? I think it's been speculation for the longest time, ever since they kind of walked out, of whether or not they're going to stay with the company, whether they're actually going to, call it quits, what's going to happen. But the latest news is they're probably maybe going to come back.
Unlike last week's news when they were probably maybe going to come back.
I mean, at least that was last week, not like, the same day. Didn't we have something with CM Punk? It was like, he's retiring from wrestling. And then the same day,
he's not doing it wrestling. He's like, okay.
He's got the passion for wrestling again. No.
Don't often get opposing views from dirt sheets.
There you go. So yeah, that's the first one this week.
That is the first one. So Braun Strowman. Now, a lot of people are kind of defending this, but like, he basically done what Braun Strowman does. He went to Twitter to be a bit of a dick. So apparently, he's since deleted this tweet. But he's put up other stuff that's just as bad, so I don't really see the point in deleting the tweet, but there you go. And he's like, I was trying to work the internet wrestling community. It's like, no, because most of the people who reacted to you were fellow wrestlers because you're being a dick. But basically, he put a tweet out. I'll give you the tweet here. It says, "Holy hell at Omos. Can you believe we got 47 stars? And reminded people that no one cares about these floppy floppers. Floppy floppers. Don't want to misquote the monster among
get that
monsters.
Terminology right.
Anyway. Sorry, I was just reading. He later says flippy flipper. I feel like it should be flippy flopper. I'm not gonna. This isn't the main issue people are having here, bro. But this is the issue I'm having. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so we sort of again suggested, a lot of respect for fellow colleagues. We've all worked our asses off to be here, all that kind of bollocks since, but still kind of stands by his arsey comments. And but again, he was working because he put up a video of him bouncing on a trampoline basically and done a flip, and he's like, do I get the stars now, that kind of thing. And to be fair, that was kind of a funny clapback, I'll be honest with you. But I just, for someone who has landed himself on the indies, getting fired from a really cushy gig and an overpaid one at that, and I'm guessing even though he's back, he's probably not on the money he was before he went. He was with Control Your Narrative, he was on the indies, he grinded on the indies, and he knew that it wasn't that fucking easy. I don't understand the need to pop shots. Even he's one of these people, right? Braun's awesome, right? I'm not throwing shade. Like he's in one of these pictures here.
I don't think he is actually. No, he's not actually.
He's in one of our. We met him.
We met him.
And as a person, he's a lovely guy to meet. Awesome. He really appreciates the fans. He's a lovely guy. But when you call him out on shit on the internet, and not that I don't really go into all that, but some people go, well, you shouldn't be on the internet being a dick. I kind of agree with that. But it's this whole thing. I hate when people do this thing of his defense is, I've got money. And I hate that. It's one of I take the piss out of Tony Khan week in, week out for going, I've got lots of fucking money. Right, but some of his defense, when people are coming at him on this, and some of his defense is I'll just go and buy myself another car with my credit card. It's we get it. You're getting paid. Yeah. For a job. A lot of people all right, you're doing incredibly well for yourself, but what do you want? Yeah. What do you want people to do to go, you're right, you're so much better than me because you earn more money? I hate that kind of fucking defensiveness. It's I get it, you're richer than me. Well done. Yeah.
I think for me, this is the kind of real life version of that meme where it's nobody. And then, because it's just come from it's not like someone went, big men wrestling sucks, and it was a big thing. He just literally out of nowhere went, fuck you, flippy floppers, the big men rule. And it's okay, that's cool.
The thing is, Braun, right? Without that, a lot of people were coming at this going, this was a much better match than I thought it was going to be. And that wasn't even because of Braun. I said about this match myself, Braun's going to have to carry this match. Yeah. And he does the big man style. He shouldn't have to carry the match because that's not what it's about, right? But Omos can't even do the big man style. He can't wrestle. No. So I was pleasantly surprised. We'll get into the pay-per-view. I was pleasantly surprised with how this match went, and that's all that would have come from it. It's gone, that was much better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. But now people are going, were you still shit?
Well, yeah,
so it's he's caused more negative reaction to his match because people are getting uppity about it. You know what I mean? And as I say, a lot of the backlash, the fans are always going to be one way or the other. He was probably going to get shit from the fans whether he said anything or not. But the interesting thing is now he's made that comment, he's got people like Ali quite recently, and I think even Ricochet put out there.
Even Jericho got back to it.
Yeah, and it's people are now responding to you for being a dick who you have to work with. So what was the point? What was the aim?
Yeah, strange one. But it's one of those. At the end of the day, it was a decent match, to be fair.
A lot of people are reminding themselves, not really him, but a lot of people are talking about before the pandemic, before he got fired and had to work on the indies, about his stupid comments about people on the indies as well. But they just they need to go and earn money, don't they?
Yeah. I just think,
he had to educate himself on that, and to be fair, he come back. He said he's basically regrets his comments, and he's been sort of educated on it. It's do we have to keep educating you, Braun?
Yeah. I think it was just he could have celebrated what a fine match it was between the two of them without having to step on anyone else. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, people, and this is an extreme, I know you're not going to agree with it, I don't agree with it, people were likening this to as far as big man matches go, this is like Hogan Andre of modern day. It's not, right? It's definitely not, Carl. Calm down, right? But that was a massive compliment. And what's in the news? Yeah. What's in the news is not the compliment, is it?
Yeah. It'd be better to be remembered for the right things, wouldn't it? I suppose. Yeah. But interesting. I know a lot of people got pretty annoyed by it. So yeah.
I'm more annoyed by floppy floppers.
What? You say
flippy flop? Anyway.
Speaking of flippy floppers, nah, kid. Obviously, we'll give our thoughts on the Logan Paul Roman Reigns match in our Crown Jewel.
I'm fucking devastated
review.
For him, to be honest.
But yeah, he's revealed. I've not got all the injuries here in front of me, but basically he's ruptured his ACL, his MCL, and torn something else as well, I think. So it's a pretty major injury that's going to keep him out for.
Have we had any further confirmation on this? Because he was on Impulsive. Was it yesterday? May have been yesterday. and like he looked fairly well. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, he's only hurt his leg.
I mean, he's only got to sit there.
Unless he had his leg above the table.
Well, it's funny because I don't know if you watched their show, but they were still sort of in character, I suppose. So his two, apologies because I don't know the names and I probably should, his two co-hosts were there and they had like neck braces on and one of them was in a wheelchair and everything because of everything that happened at Crown Jewel, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had Logan, like, I suppose that's the weird contrast. He's the one who's actually injured, and he sat there, no bandages and nothing.
Yeah,
but
that's very funny.
Yeah, and I just wonder if there's any confirmation because like.
Well, I mean, he confirmed it, didn't he? Basically saying what he'd done. So I think it's pretty
wasn't
much
it
confirmed,
like possible MCL or something like that? Like, do we know the extent of it?
I don't know. I think, as far as I'm aware, he's definitely torn them. So I think it's going to be looking at a number of months at least, which is a shame.
That is good. Like, I know we didn't have a set time for him being in the ring again, but he's just such a natural fucking talent.
Well, I'm hoping he can be a bit of a freak of nature, and maybe he can do something at Mania because I think he deserves it. But
without a doubt.
We'll come on to our glowing review of Logan Paul in the Crown Jewel stuff later. But yeah, massive shame, and hopefully he's recovers quick.
Speaking of massive shames, I kid. The nickname is the Problem Child. Do we have? But rumour has it, after his appearance at Crown Jewel, that Jake Paul may be signing with WWE. Now, this has not been. There's nothing solid, but both parties have expressed an interest in working together at some point in the future. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm envisaging this as sort of his whole deal is boxing right now.
Yeah.
You know, I can't imagine he's going to be in WWE anytime soon. I think it'll be when the boxing side of things is done. So I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. But
I don't know. I think his deal right now is making a fuckload of money.
But he can make a fuckload of money with boxing. So
he can, but he doesn't have to potentially, eat a couple of.
You get to a point, right?
Punches.
And I have no idea what this point. I don't know what it feels like. So maybe there's a reason, right? But when you look at it from our perspective, when we're like nowhere near like millionaires, and you go, well, you've got lots of money, like. So
more.
If someone goes to you, here's lots of money, is that even compelling to you anymore? Like, I kind of get the whole, like, Logan Paul seemed to be a wrestling fan and he wanted to be in the ring and he wants to do Mania and stuff like that. So you go, okay, I get it. That's a childhood bucket list thing. If I was a fucking billionaire and WWE come along and said, do you want to main event Mania? I'd go, well, give me like a month to like train. But yeah, sure. So I kind of get it. But when you go, I don't know enough about Jake to know whether he is a WWE fan.
Yeah.
But he seems to be really more impassioned about boxing. So I go, well, that's why I'm like, is he just going to, maybe it's an option when the boxing's done? Because I don't think this is his thing in terms of like what he's passionate about,
Yeah, I mean, I've not read the full story. I don't think they're looking to potentially sign him to anything long term. I think it might just be more like for Mania or something like that. Can we get him in a match? Can we get him?
It'd be funny if they put him in the ring with Tyson Fury. After all that, it's a wrestling match.
Yeah, I'd love that, to be fair. But like him, hate him, whatever. He's a big name. He's got a lot of eyeballs on him, and so for something like WrestleMania, he's the kind of attraction that you would want there.
I deliberately don't cast an opinion on, which will surprise you because I cast an opinion on a lot of things. I deliberately don't cast an opinion on because so many people are like, they're drawn into the character that he wants to portray. Mm-hmm. So he wants people to think he's a knob.
Yeah.
So is there any point in me sat here going, seems like a knob? Because that's exactly what he's trying to... He's calling himself the problem child and he's antagonizing people. Like, the whole thing, and his genius, by the way, of the boxing world is he's working people to the point that I want to see him get his fucking ass kicked so everyone tunes
everyone
in,
pays.
hoping. And then what does he do? Every fucking time, he still hasn't been knocked out and people are waiting for it. It's fucking genius marketing.
Yeah.
So I can't knock him on that. And I'm like, I don't know what he's like as a person, but...
He's a bit of a problem, I've heard. Of a child.
But he knows what he's doing. And I imagine if he brought any level of that heel heat, Carl, if you will, to WWE, then he'll probably do well.
Yeah, I think so. And a little shout out to Cheap Pop Wrestling. I saw they put something on Twitter going, please no, don't have the Pauls dethrone the Usos. I'd love to
Pauls
see
for Usos.
I would love to see
it. That's Mania. That's what's happening. That's the right. I never even. You know what? Yeah, fair play, Cheap Pop.
Even if they don't,
I don't think. I hope they don't dethrone him. I'm with you on that, but I do think that match is happening.
I hope so. Well, assuming Logan can.
Logan's freaking nature.
Can make the date.
He'll do it with one leg. He's like Cody Rhodes of the YouTube world. He'll wrestle regardless. Okay,
I like that. So speaking of things at WrestleMania, Anthony, so numerous different reports now about two of the biggest stars in all of professional wrestling, Stone Cold Steve Austin and John Cena. Now, the belief on Stone Cold is that he is very much open to any kind of match or opportunity or some involvement to do with Hollywood. The WrestleMania Hollywood.
Right.
So not just making movies, but so
have you met Harvey Weinstein?
Oh God. So he very much wants to be there in some capacity, but the belief is he's very much open to having at least one more match. So I think because it went so well with Kevin Owens last time, he's thinking, can we do it? Can we do it again?
Don't do it.
I mean,
I'm sorry, I know it was incredible. I really enjoyed the Kevin Owens Austin match, but don't do it.
See, I don't know. I'm not as adverse to it, to be honest. If it's done right, I don't want him to come back and have like a main roster run or anything.
The trouble is though, and this is this is an extreme reaction right now. I get that, right? But I'm just looking at it's a very addictive business, right? Mm. And you end up going full Ric Flair with it. I'm like, I might have another match. I might not. I don't know, right? But at some point, they stop being good matches. Mm. And I would sooner we end on a high now where him and Kevin Owens was fucking boss than we have another one that may not be.
But what if it's even better?
But what if it's not?
But what if it is?
But the probability is going more towards not, isn't it?
And that's what's going on in the wrestler's mind towards the end of the career. But yeah, so I think Stone Cold is very much open to it. And at the end of the day, it's WrestleMania Hollywood. There's going to be so many eyes on it. There's going to be a lot more celebrity and spectacle than there has been in a long time at Mania, I think, because it's in Hollywood. So Austin, I think, belongs there. Whether it's in a match or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay.
But also, John Cena. Now, the belief from WrestleVotes, who gets a lot of stuff right, he's clearly well sourced, is that John Cena will be there. So he's not sure again whether it'll be in a match, whether it'll be something else, but he will be there.
Rocking up as Peacekeeper.
Maybe.
Peacemaker. What the fuck was his name? I'm going to get that. All the DC fans are going to come for me now.
Get him. I mean, I don't know either, but get him because he's the one who's,
Anyway. The guy he played with the
Peacemaker,
helmet.
innit?
Peacemaker.
I say Peacemaker.
I think I said Keeper initially, so I did fuck it up.
He did. But he's already came back as
a series actually as well. I feel bad for him.
You can't redeem yourself now.
No, it was fantastic.
Not good enough to remember
series.
his name.
I give it 47 stars.
You floppy flippers. So Cena is going to be there in some capacity. Obviously, he has come back as Thugonomics Cena, so maybe we will get to see Peace.
He'll never truly be Thugonomics Cena.
Maker.
Well, he'll never truly come back as Thugonomics Cena without B Squared.
This is very true.
The fact he didn't bring him along is bullshit.
Yeah. Or Carlito and Jesus to stab him, all these things. That was an actual storyline.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Do you remember when they were pushing Carlito as the guy who's going to dethrone Cena?
Now,
I know. Good times. He was so big on him.
Yes, you know what? I am. I still am.
In like a Homer Simpson kind of way, you're just like, oh, he's named like my name.
Exactly. Basically, everybody wants someone that they can cheer that sounds like themselves. So yeah,
I had to go with obviously Santino Marella. I think is the quick one, but that's only because his real life he is a Tony as well.
Well, Tony Schiavone.
Yeah, he's not really an in-ring talent though, Schiavone, is he?
Does he look like Tony Schiavone? Start them.
I'll take that. I don't mind.
I mean, if you get hugged by Britt Baker often, then why not? But yeah, I know a lot of people will be very much against this and be like, let's give the main talent the time because they've worked harder. I don't give a fuck. It's WrestleMania. It's about spectacle. It's about big names. It's WrestleMania Hollywood. I want to see both of these. I want to see them, both of them. I want them to fight each other. That's what I want. Right? So make it happen. Bucket trips.
Let's just have a fucking battle royal of legends. Fucking. Why not?
We've done a gimmick battle royal before. Let's make it happen.
You can't bring Kane back because, he's controversial at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends what side of the fence. You might love him at the moment. I don't know. We don't really go into American politics, but...
Anyway.
So, Carl, Cora Jade. This is a quick one. Cora Jade. WWE apparently so big on Cora Jade, they've likened her to the next Sasha Banks. She seems to have the same qualities as Sasha Banks in terms of like a really good character, good look, talent. That was kind of like the weakest point. So they're like, she's got the right look. She's got the she can talk. She can wrestle.
Yeah,
it's kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah.
I love it. But apparently the talks are that they're so big on Cora and her performance in NXT at the moment that she may be getting fast tracked to the main roster. Which brings me to my question. Do you think she may fill one of the slots? She is a heel at the moment. Do you think she may rock up? Bear in mind, she's been around 2 other people who've recently come up from NXT. If she was to join Damage Control, not actually join the faction, but join them in the War Games match, do you think she could be the missing piece of
maybe she
the
will
heel
be.
side of things?
Maybe she will be. That's a great shout, actually.
Thanks.
Yeah, it makes sense. It would make sense. Yeah, good job. Your work is done. Yeah, I think it would make sense, and clearly, they are trying to bolster that women's division as well. So
bolster it. Bolster the fuck out of it.
So that'll do it. That'll do it. So
what do you make of her? Like, I haven't really watched a lot of NXT with her in it, so I feel like I can't really speak on how talented she is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch NXT, but of any clips and stuff that I've seen, like, she's always been someone who's stood out. Do you know what I mean? From these things, you see Bron Breakkers, you see, Cora, you see Nikita Lyons and stuff. Yeah. So it would make sense. Both of them probably end up coming up soon anyway. But yeah, she has got a unique look. I've seen a lot of comparisons with Paige, or Saraya. And it's kind of like,
I kind of get that.
It with Saraya.
I kind of get that because she's not the conventional, like,
yeah.
I don't want to say like rock chick, but it's kind of like the vibe, and it's similar aesthetic in some senses, really.
So it's easy compared. Yeah, she looks a bit like Paige. There must be something.
That's exactly what they've done. Yeah.
So I don't know, but clearly she's yeah, I've not watched enough of her to go. She's amazing in ring talent and stuff, but she,
didn't. Am I right in saying this is the one who was it? Darby Allin threw a bit of shade at her for pretending to be a skateboarder.
Yeah, someone did, didn't
but she doesn't skateboard. But I think it wasn't Darby Allin the one who tweeted
a
thing about it. Yeah. I could be wrong on that, but I figured he threw it. It's like one of them subtle things, but he threw a tweet out there about skating.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And everyone was like, "It's directed at Cora because she can't skateboard." Now I don't even know if that was the aim, but that's people made that connection.
What a thing to be throwing shade over.
Hasn't she been likened to Sky Blue as well?
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of get the
backwards cap and Converse and stuff. It's like, again, it's just like, hey,
it's like fucking 90s movie comparisons, isn't it? Oh no, she's got glasses and a ponytail. It's like, what the fuck is this?
It's like live action Guess Who. Do they wear a backwards cap?
We need to do wrestling Guess Who. I really want to do that, Carl. Let's do that.
Rest Who. There you go.
We need to get some guests on and we'll play Guess Who.
Okay, do that.
Because it's not just based on looks, then, is it? You could have like your one's like you've got Kane on there, and you have to try and eliminate So you could be very specific in your question and try and get rid of Kane. You know what I mean?
Is he a cunt? I kid. I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
Does he support women's rights? No.
Does he set people on fire? Yeah, so yeah, interesting. But yeah, that's a great segment. We'll have to do that.
I know, right? We'll probably forget and have to watch this back to find out what we were talking about. But yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
And this is the process, guys.
This is how we do our shit. Speaking of shit, no, I kid. So at Full Gear, we have now got the bracket announced. I'm keen to get your thoughts on this, Anthony. You specifically. So obviously, as we know, what is
I enjoyed Full Gear. I don't know what full bracket is going to be like, but
so what they do every year at Full Gear is they have a little kind of bracket elimination, and whoever wins,
patronising that,
the little bracket elimination, whoever wins gets a shot at Winter is Coming and goes on to lose that match. Against the champ.
Usually that works. Yeah.
Pretty much how it works. But the list of names, I'm going to list them off for you, and I'm just keen to get your thoughts. On these names. So we've got Eddie Kingston, Ethan Page, Bandido, Rush, however you say it, Lance Archer, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, and Dante Martin.
Yeah. Whoever wins is definitely going to lose.
Yeah, the winner gets a
that's a shame because I really can't see them pulling the trigger on any of these as world champions, sadly. Mm-hmm. And you know who I've grown to appreciate recently?
Go on.
Brian Cage.
Yeah, okay.
I've been like in the interest of like forcing my child to enjoy wrestling as well. He's 3, by the way, so it's not difficult to make him watch wrestling. But I've started watching AAA on Pro Wrestling TV
for free.
So I started watching AAA, Triple Mania quite recently, and in a bid to make it interesting for Joey, because it's mean boring him. They have a lot of Marvel characters, which is hence why I gravitated towards AAA initially.
Yeah.
And one of the Marvel characters is actually I don't know, they had a different name for him, so apologies, I've forgotten it, but essentially Thanos. But Thanos is Brian Cage.
Oh well,
and I'm like,
pretty cool.
I was like, so I've seen him a few different times now on a few different AAA matches, and you know what? He's a really talented dude, and he just hasn't been given. And this is like, everyone's probably there, like, yeah, we all knew that. I've only just realised AEW just really hasn't given him the time.
No,
and
I think
if anyone was to get a push from this tournament, I'd kind of want to see Brian Cage get one.
Yeah, he's massively unique. There's not many other people out there who are built like him that can move the way he does and do the things that he does.
Something in the way he moves.
The only problem with him is kind of promo wise and stuff, isn't it? Which I think you give him a talker though, then
you give him a mouthpiece.
So yeah, it is that. But yeah, I don't know. I was pretty, whelmed.
Well, I know you can be overwhelmed.
We say this every week now, don't we? But yeah, you look at that list of names, and history will repeat itself, like guaranteed here, because let's be honest. So if Moxley beats MJF, Moxley's beating all these. If MJF wins the title, he isn't losing it straight away to one of these.
No.
So it's kind of like,
see, this is the trouble. It's a pointless tournament because everybody wants MJF to win.
Yeah.
And nobody wants MJF to lose so quickly.
No.
So
exactly,
it's a doomed tournament, isn't it?
It is, and it's like, it feels like, and it's I don't want this to come across in the bad way, but this kind of seems like the match you put people in that you've got no plans for. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, we're not going to feature you on the pay-per-view, but what we'll do is we'll put you in the tournament beforehand. I think a lot of people are alluding to it. It's going to be either Ethan Page or Ricky Starks in the final. That seems to be what the build is going to be.
You go, okay, they might have a decent feud with MJF, but ultimately you wouldn't want them to win. So
yeah, I mean,
and by the way, MJF, because there's no way MJF's not winning.
I mean, there is, to be fair. But
fucking no way.
Can't wait to do these predictions. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but I just think, what a shame, because you can't get hyped about it when you know that the winner's going to get a title shot that they aren't going to win.
Because we're experts, we already know what's going to happen.
Well, yeah. So yeah, speaking of tournaments,
Cam, this is an interesting one. So SmackDown have announced, WWE have announced a Smackdown World Cup. So that's going to go, it's this week now, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it kicks off this week.
So it's kicking off this week.
Bad graphic.
So they're, thanks. So they're going to start this World Cup tournament. A lot of people have said that shouldn't really the previous World Cup winner, be present. So we might see Shane McMahon, I don't know.
Have they done that? So have they done this before?
No, he done like a tournament, didn't he? Very similar to this, where it was like the best wrestler in the world. So a lot of people have joked about, well, Shane being the best wrestler in the world who won the last World Cup, if you will, should really be part of this. But the interesting thing is, a lot of people, because we'd heard rumours about a World Cup style tournament. I say rumours, I think Triple H literally said we're going to do a World Cup style tournament. A lot of people were expecting this to be more on the NXT brand, especially when they move out towards Europe and Japan, and they like to have a World Cup. Yeah. So initially I was a little bit whelmed by the idea.
I know you can be.
And you go, well, just SmackDown, that's a bit of a shame. But then you look at it and you go, well, in terms of a worldwide kind of, like, to call it a World Cup, like, what's the point? But then you look at it and go, well, we got the likes of Drew McIntyre and Sheamus and the like to sort of flesh it out in terms of, you go, well, okay, yeah, it's kind of, they've got a lot of global talent, I suppose. So whilst it feels like it's just a SmackDown vehicle, and it very much is, this could end up being a really good tournament bracket. So I'm kind of excited to see what we get this week and where it goes. But how do you feel? Do you think this should have been a bigger scale than just SmackDown?
I just don't think it should even happen.
Okay, then. Right.
Next, the reason I say that is they're doing it solely because the World Cup kicks off next week.
Yes,
right.
Yes, they are.
So it's like, well, yeah, let's tie that into our advertising and have the SmackDown World Cup. What do they win? A trophy? Yay! Who cares?
Well, yeah. To be honest, this is the only problem I have with WWE at the minute. Like, there's no real, like, everything they do in this sort of sense. You have like your World Cup, you have like your Andre Battle Royals. you know, all that kind of stuff, and it's like you get like a shiny trophy and nothing else.
Well,
Even King of the Ring, that you get
like,
a crown.
You know, for all the shit we just gave AEW a minute ago about, well, what's the point in doing this tournament because they're never going to win.
Like, we know exactly what's going to happen.
At least they get a title.
Got a result from
something.
that. Yeah.
Like, what do you get here? A shiny trophy? Like, who cares? But yeah, you know, I imagine
it's not even a Dynamite diamond ring.
Exactly. Have they announced how many participants? I imagine it's going to be like only 8 or something. It was just on SmackDown. So it probably will
I'll
be.
have to check.
You know, Drew.
Numbers.
So there'll probably be a UK. So let's say Drew, because Sheamus is away for a bit. Shinsuke, probably. Japan.
So the names that have been bandied about, if you will. So I've not got specific numbers, but they've mentioned Drew, Sheamus, Gunther, Santos Escobar,
Gunther.
Sami Zayn, and Shinsuke.
Sami, yeah. Exactly. So if they do stuff
to flesh
like
it out as a World Cup style.
Then,
so yeah, you know, to be honest, it's without trying to throw shade at an entire country, it's at least it is kind of got a worldwide feel to it, rather than just throwing it on together, calling it a World Cup and it's only America.
Yeah, to be fair, I like that. But yeah, interesting indeed. Still watch it, like. So, bit of unfortunate news for Natalya. So, as we probably all of you saw,
well, it's not news for Natalya. She's well aware of it.
Well, yeah, Natalya news. She's just walking around.
Listen, Natty.
Because she watches the show.
You know you broke your nose, right?
We've got to break it to you that you broke your nose. So yeah, she had a match with Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler kneed her in the face, broke her nose. Pretty much how that went down. So, but yeah, obviously Natty is being a good sport about it all. I believe
she had to get it reset.
Yeah, she had to have a reset. I think she reported that it should return to the same kind of form that it was. So there's no kind of, hopefully, like it's not going to be like damaged like going forward or anything like that. But yeah, I think Shayna Baszler obviously didn't really show any remorse about it or anything. It was just like, well, if you go up against someone who's good at throwing knees, then yeah, you're going to get your nose broke. So that was her kind of response. So fair play. But
fair enough.
I made up that Natalya's brought her assistant back now on Twitter. Have you seen that? Obviously, she's got a pretty good Twitter game. She basically has invented her own
Twitter game.
Assistant, and basically while she's recovering, then the assistant is back just making.
I like that. That's pretty good. Yeah.
But yeah, obviously wish her a speedy recovery.
Indeed.
Obviously, everyone loves Natty, don't they?
Yeah.
So.
And just watch out for them knees in the future.
Indeed.
So here's one that's been going on for the last few days. Like. Even in terms of today, we've had some stuff, but Nick Aldis very recently announced that he'd be leaving NWA. Mm-hmm. He's handed in his release, if you will, and was intent to see out that release, but has now been suspended from the company. Now, initially there weren't word from Billy Corgan as to why that was, but Nick Aldis basically come out and said that wasn't his doing. He would have loved to have sought out his obligations to the event in New Orleans. But the choice wasn't his, and he's now been suspended. And he's even over a few different tweets, and I'll paraphrase rather than trying to quote them all. He cited comments Corgan has made in relation to women's wrestling, in saying like basically, that there's good women's wrestling, but can they wrestle NWA style? Which is, we'll get onto that in a second. But Nick actually cited like the reasons sort of for his release in part were due to a lot of his perspective on the women's wrestling scene and and those sort of comments. Billy Corgan has sort of fired back saying that basically Nick Aldis is the type of person who he was warned about before signing him, and he said he was warned about him, he signed him, and he said he's the type of person who, when you're giving him everything he wants, he's a great guy, but when you're not, that's when he's now started to see the person he was warned about when he first signed him, because now he wasn't giving him what he wanted. The person he was changed and his attitude changed. So you don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but this is the first I'm hearing about Nick Aldis being a difficult person. Yeah. Like, I don't know who warned him, because you hear about wrestlers all the time, and it's not like it's the first I'm hearing about it and I'm friends with everybody. Like it's not that kind of thing. This may be the case, but when you often hear about wrestlers who are difficult to work with,
his name never comes up.
It never comes up. And he's always seemed like a decent guy, so I'm very surprised at that. But at the same time, what is very public is Billy Corgan's comments on women's wrestling, and obviously very recently NWA had Empower, which the figurehead, along with Gail Kim, was Nick Aldis' wife, Mickey James. So when the head of NWA is basically saying women's wrestling shit, and the biggest show they had as an all-women's event, was ran by his wife. I don't really think the problem is with Nick. I think the problem might be with Billy.
Yeah, I think, respective of Mickey's booking in NWA and stuff as well, I don't know, I think that there's a lot of stuff to kind of unpack there, but I think anyone who watched Empower will have seen an awesome women's wrestling show. I think we loved it. We thought the talent on there was, we got to see people for the first time, people like Sky Blue and stuff like that, where, we got to see and stuff like that. So it's a very bold statement. I've seen a really funny response on Twitter, I think, to can they wrestle the NWA style, and it's just Brodus Clay jumping off the top rope, but like just the most unathletic thing you've ever seen in your life, just like a forward roll.
I really can't understand the comment, and I was like, look and see if it was taken out of context, and it doesn't appear to have been. But like, Thunder Rosa made the NWA women's division, all due respect to them. They had legends like Melina like bolstering it, and then people like Thunder Rosa coming up and making it look fucking awesome, to the point that Thunder's had to go to AEW like just because of how popular she was, and it's a bigger scale. Mickey James was an absolute legend, didn't need NWA at all, but did Empower. Gail Kim, another absolute fucking legend in Impact more than WWE, but in both companies. And NWA was the small fish that they are helping build up, and it just baffles me.
They've got like Camille now, who's fantastic. Chelsea Green's there all the time. There's another.
I don't understand how the conversation even came about. That I understand that Empower probably didn't draw as much as one of their normal pay-per-views that happened with WWE and Evolution. That doesn't make women's wrestling bad. It just means they still need to work on bringing the fan base in. It's the same kind of as women's football or soccer for our followers in the States. Like, women aren't bad at soccer, but the fan base is significantly bigger for men's. You have to work at bringing the fans in. That doesn't make it poor quality.
No. But yeah, it's it sounds like it's getting very it's a shame really, because they've had such a good relationship over the years. Like obviously Nick was like the NWA poster boy, wasn't he? To see it end like this, I think is a massive shock. What do you think's next for Nick? Do you think he's gonna go back to Impact? Do you think we're gonna see him in WWE?
I personally would love to see him in AEW.
Yeah,
I think he would be a good shot in the arm for what is a very troubled main event scene for AEW at the moment. Like Moxley is holding it down, but. And MJF, awesome, but like, how good would a feud between MJF and Nick be? Yeah,
it's a weird situation at the minute in AEW, because they're getting Impact, TNA of 2006 comparisons like every week, aren't they? Like they've got Sting, they've got like Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt. I can't remember what the picture. It's like Samoa Joe. It's like all these guys.
Someone put up a picture, tickled me, and it said. TNA in 2007 is All Elite. And it showed a picture of all of them together, and I'm like,
So, you know what I mean? Like, you bring Aldis in as well. It's not going to help.
I don't care. I think, like, as much as they've got a load of talent there, like, looking at the tournament bracket we just talked about, none of them are built up because they haven't built them up, and that is AEW's fault. Nick doesn't need building up. He could come in as a credible threat to the main event scene, and that's where you could bring him in to be a top guy straight out the gate. They still need to build the talent they've got up. But this is the problem we got. You can't, and this is no disrespect to him, he's a super talented guy, but you can't go, Ricky Starks, he's going to be the feud, he's going to be the MJF feud. That's what people want. They haven't built him up. They still need to build him up. Where you could realistically have Nick Aldis going up against MJF and it feel realistic. That who might win, I don't know, kind of approach, you know what I mean? So I think he'd be a great get for AEW for those reasons, to be honest. As much as they've got plenty of talent, there's no one built up to the main event scene.
Imagine if Mickey goes along with him as well, like with the L. She will have literally completed it, mate. You know what I mean? Literally,
I love it.
Done it all.
Wrestling, done it, mate. Yeah. To be honest, that wouldn't surprise me when she's doing her, what's she calling it, the last rodeo. Like, it would be a kind of like a tick box thing before, because this is her sort of retirement tour, really.
Yeah.
So that would make a bit of sense to me. So yeah, that'd be great, especially when they've pulled Maria in for the Ring of Honor and the Women's Wrestling Army side of things, which I'm sure is going to bleed over into AEW a little bit, because it gives them a platform, doesn't it? But yeah, for me, I'm more than happy if he goes to WWE, but right now, to be a main event guy, it's AEW, isn't it? Because if he goes to WWE, he's not going to go up against Roman straight away. Roman's going to be busy with The Rock.
I could see him going up against Cody, though.
Yeah,
obviously we need to.
How long is he going to have to wait? How long is he going to have to be in the mid card, not doing much, while Cody gets built up. We wait for The Rock versus Roman to happen, then Cody gets built up, and so on and so on.
See, I'm going to sound sizes now, which has like a 5'8" guy, you know, is a bit of a size queen. But I don't know, like it's kind of one of the problems at Wardlow, and that's got at the minute in AEW as well, is that he's just like dwarfs the competition a bit. Like Lance Archer had the same. Whereas if you look at like someone like Nick Aldis, like 6'4", like frame that he's got, I feel like he fits in a little bit better in WWE.
I'll give you that.
But I don't know.
But we don't want to keep the all petite wrestling
we don't.
perspective, do we?
No. But yeah, I think until they can, you know, get, because like I mean MJF's 5'11", and he's, you know, he's well deserving of being the world champ. So I'm not saying, you need to. There's a height requirement to ride.
No, I mean
train to.
I think it's just a weird situation, isn't it? Because like in WWE, you had people like Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit, who were both, I believe, 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah.
Both ended up being world champs, and it didn't feel unrealistic. But they were smaller guys in a roster of quite big guys. But there's something really jarring about being a massive guy amongst all the little guys.
Yeah.
So
strange,
I think this is where MJF is definitely deserving of being a world champ, but it does feel a little more jarring when he goes up against somebody like Wardlow or Nick or Lance Archer, because they're very few compared to WWE. WWE was all about big guys, wasn't it? So.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting anyway, but yeah, hopefully it's, I don't know, I'd like to think they can end it somewhat more amicably than what they have done, but...
Here's hoping. I mean, there's some suggestion, and I don't know what he meant by this, but again, another comment from Billy was like, that he's sort of working people, if that makes sense. Like, why would a guy who's been treated the way he has and been like essentially the poster child for the company, like, why would he...
The only way he's working people is if Billy's working people too.
Well, this is the thing. And I don't understand what he meant by that. Is like, again, it might have been part of this whole, I fell out with him, so don't trust him. You know, he's clearly working people. Why would he throw these comments out now when he's been treated nothing but good? Like, that's probably just a bit of bitterness. But you go, well, is this kind of a work? It doesn't feel like a work.
No. Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
And speaking of MJF, the last piece of news this week is...
a very interesting piece of news.
MJF has landed a major role in the upcoming Iron Claw film that obviously we saw last week.
Started out on the Rosie O'Donnell show, and look at him now. But yeah, obviously we saw images last week of Zac Efron in the movie, and I think MJF has been Zac
rumoured...
Efron is Aldis.
It's been rumoured that MJF's going to play Lance Von Erich, who's not an actual... Von Erich, but was someone who played a Von Erich in the territories, if that makes sense.
Right, okay.
So he's not one of the original brothers, but he's someone who...
Yeah, he's not a literal Von Erich.
Yeah. Not literal Von Erich, I like that. Mighty ring name. But I'll add to that. I think we've kind of seen a little bit more of MJF being himself since he's come back a little bit. He's kind of pulled down that wall a little, hasn't he?
Yeah, are we ready for Hollywood Max?
And now here he is. He's already drawing like Miz comparisons now. You know what I mean? Again, and it's like, fuck, so give the guy a break.
Yeah, but won't this be a good film?
Oh, savage. I mean, to be fair, I love the Miz, so I don't think it's a bad comparison. But
yeah, I love the Miz. Have you ever watched any of his films?
No,
exactly.
But that guy can do whatever the hell he wants because we know why.
Apparently so.
So major news for MJF, and. Yeah, it just makes me even more excited to see the film.
I was all for it. Like, this A24 seems to be like a massive company now as well. Mm-hmm. Like, they're just pulling out banger after banger at the minute, so that's interesting.
Sheamus confirmed for the film.
Yeah, he's going to play another Von Erich, a fictional one, obviously. The Irish cousin. But I'm excited for the film. I think it's got like obviously a legit star in Zac Efron, regardless of whether you like High School Musical or not. He is a legit star, let's be honest. Mm-hmm. And a massive company behind them, so I'm super excited for what we're gonna get.
Yeah, I'm just happy we're seeing more wrestling type films. You know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy. Like, it feels like a really weird story to tell, the Von Erichs, and like for a lot of people,
it's not going to be a comedy.
Well, for a lot of people, they won't know anything about the Von Erichs before. Like, so I get it. Most people who watch it be wrestling fans, but like, as an example, my wife will probably watch it maybe because I'll make it, but she won't know anything about the Von Erichs. I'm not going to tell her, so that's going to be a really strange film for her to see.
Well,
like,
I mean, obviously not on that level, but like people watching like The Wrestler for the first time, you know what I mean? Probably just think like, oh, what's this going to be? Then they watch it and they go on this fucking emotional roller coaster. This is going to be next fucking level.
I'm going to go and drink.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't wait for it. It's a fascinating, heartbreaking story to be told. I'm glad it's being told.
Tell you what, a random one, just because I'll throw it out there. I found myself watching, and I found myself having a conversation with my wife about Chris Benoit.
Right? As you do.
Say, let me tell you about Chris Benoit. Right? Now, it didn't quite happen like that. She's really into her. I'm trying to be tactful about this, but murder documentaries kind of thing. And I got onto the sort of topic about like Dark Side of the Ring and stuff like that. And she's now interested in watching Dark Side of the Ring. But one of the things we watched, because the one she was sort of instantly intrigued about, morbidly in a way, was Chris Benoit. Because I was like, it was insanely out of character and really horrible tragedy. But I found myself like in a way to try and sort of explain to her rather than me explaining the whole story. I found Cultaholic. No, was it Cultaholic? Might have been What Culture.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah,
they've done a
like an hour-long thing.
An hour-long documentary called Rabid, which is actually really good. Yeah. Like, and I'm not saying like I didn't expect it to be, but you know, for a YouTube channel,
you can tell
to put a documentary out there, they put a lot of effort in there. The only comment I'd have, if I'm gonna have one, is the voiceover guy was just way too jolly all the way through it.
Yeah, for the subject matter, like,
you know, adjust the tone. Yeah. But really interesting, and this is like from myself, who is a wrestling fan, and my wife, who wasn't. Both found it really interesting, so I'd highly recommend as a YouTube documentary. Anyway, Rabid on What Culture.
Defo, I'll have to watch it myself. Sounds
may have been Cultaholic. I'm sorry, I'm not, because it's the same guys. I just can't remember where they were at the time.
Where were you? So yeah, another interesting set of news. But yeah, some very exciting WrestleMania plans by the sounds of it.
Very exciting.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on.
Basically, old guys wrestling. That's what we're getting.
Old guys wrestling. But obviously, we've got unknown people in the War Games match. We've got Nick Aldis's future. There's loads of crazy stuff going on at the minute. So another fun-filled week. We're going to come at you with some Crown Jewel reactions and results. And we're also going to discuss, has the Money in the Bank run its course based on the crazy fallout?
Spoilers.
The crazy fallout from the whole Austin Theory situation. So yeah, until next week, goodbye.